Today we have an iPhone 12 Pro Max with no front camera. As you can see, it is just a black screen, but if you flip over the camera, the rear camera works. What we need to do is replace only the front camera, but the problem is the front camera is actually attached to all these the Face ID sensors and the front camera is all in this bracket. You cannot just swap out this whole assembly, because if you do that, you will lose Face ID. So we just gotta replace it with just the camera module, which is this tiny little thing from out of this bracket. And the process does require you to work under a microscope. So we're gonna go through that full step-by-step process, and we're gonna restore the front camera. But before I do wanna remind you that we do offer mail-in services for Face ID repairs, front camera repairs, and pretty much any motherboard or any iPhone issue. So reach out to us through our website, which I will link down below. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so as you can see, the rear cameras work fine. It's just the front camera that is blank. And the funny thing I want to show you guys is the actual Face ID working. So I turn it on, it's gonna scan my face as if it's there, but it's not, and it sets up Face ID properly. So one of the first things I like to do here is actually go to the computer, pull up 3D Tools and go to verification report. And here you can see all the information from the device except the front camera is not detected. It's just blank. It basically says NA. Another thing you can do is pull up the JC Repair Assistant software, go to read phone, read info, and then here's basically similar info, but there's a little more useful information here. So you can see the lattice, IR cam, distance sense, ambient light, radar. All these are detected because it has their serial numbers, but once again, the front camera is blank, no reading. So something's up with that front camera and we got to fix it. So one thing you can do for a quick test is if we open this up, disconnect the battery, unplug the screen. So let's get the front camera out and take a look at where the front camera is. So if you look closely, there's a yellow tint to this lens. This is the IR cam, infrared camera. And the little glass thing here is the Dot Projector, TrueDepth Camera, Dot Matrix. There's different names for it. But this black one here that has no yellow tint is the front camera. And if you look at my replacement, it's this one as well. So the replacement is from Injured Gadgets, and basically it tells you decoupling required. And just real quick, I'm gonna use this jig as well. But here's the front camera flex. So if you just kind of see where that flex goes into, it is this one here. So let's plug. Actually, we don't need this. We just need to test that the front camera works, which I believe, let's just go back here. Yeah, so that one plugs in here. Yep. And then we don't need Face ID for this test, so we will get an error message, but let's just make sure this camera actually works. So this is the original sensors we want to keep, but we want to use this new camera. So let's plug this in. Now, one thing to keep in mind, some models do require an update after replacing the camera. I don't know if the 12 Pro Max does. So let's take a look and see if it works out of the box or if it's going to require update. Now, some people say restore. Personally, I hate restoring phones when I am not sure if they're iCloud locked or not. And one of the biggest issues is if a customer tells you to restore their phone and they don't remember their iCloud info, or they have several passwords, it just becomes a huge mess trying to figure out their iCloud info so you could get past the activation lock screen. So, all right, let's test it out. Bring up the camera. Oh, look at that. Front camera is not working. So that's this one here. So yeah, we don't have to restore, or we don't have to update. We just gotta swap it out and it'll work. And if we go here, you can see there's now a value on the front camera field. You go to 3D Tools, front camera now has a serial number detected. So there you go. All right, so now let's go here under the microscope and swap out the actual camera module. Physically, there's no physical issue with the camera that I can spot. So we will have to just replace it. Like, I don't see a torn flex The connector doesn't look damaged. So yeah, so for whatever reason the camera itself failed and we just gotta replace it. So what we're gonna use is this jig, the Mant, basically dot projector jig for this. And what we gotta do is get in this bracket. One of the first things we need to do is first put it in here. And essentially I'm gonna show you guys what is called the decoupling of this thing, because this is a solid metal bracket, so we gotta essentially get rid of it. Now there's technically a way to put it back, although that's kind of a big pain to do. All right, let's get rid of these stickers here because we need to cut through all this. And you got to be real careful when doing this. It does require a microscope, so don't just do this without one and think you're going to get away with it. All right, so now that we got all the stickers off, actually we didn't. There's still some on this side. Now, if someone has a better way to do this, drop it in the comments. But this is how I've been doing them. I've done a few with no issues. So the goal here is to cut this bracket. You can see it's welded or kind of riveted together, and essentially get some wire cutters or some bracket cutters, and try to break this off. Now be careful with the flex cables. You don't want to damage those. Oh, I got it. So the bracket has now separated. So just like a dot projector repair using the old school methods before the tag on flex, you gotta cut the bracket and get in here. Now this bracket, since you're bending it, it just breaks off really easy. So now that we got that off, we now have access to the camera module. Now this is where it gets real technical, and recommend if you're gonna do this that you're essentially have hand skills to work under the microscope. You gotta be real careful. So let's start off first at 180 Celsius with 40% air. And essentially I gotta clean out the glue that's holding the camera in the bracket. So there's like some white glue here. And essentially the only way to get it off is some heat. So just apply some heat, and we just need the front camera off only. There we go, I'm getting some of it out. Now this is good also in case you ever damage the front camera, get it dirty, get like adhesive on it or some stuff on the lens where you can't basically the camera has to be replaced. We go through all these steps. Now getting this off a donor is even more difficult because you got to do it without warping the lens itself or it falling apart. I did do it once successfully, but it was really tricky. So luckily for this one, we don't need this front camera, we have a new one. Just be careful of the dot projector. There's a really tight spot up here. Let's see if I get any of this off. All right, so just kind of clear out as much as you can. You could also kind of wiggle the camera, see if it pops out. But essentially, you want to get it out. There it goes. And then, there we go. Here's some of that glue stuff. There you go, clean bracket. All right, so let's put some B7000 along the edges. So when we stick the camera in, it has something to stick to. I use a preliminary glue. Now make sure you're careful with the little strands of B7000 glue. Then here's the new camera that we tested and known good now. And let's put it in there. Now this is the tricky part, is the alignment. So what I look for is that it's square in the socket, I guess you can call it. Use the bracket to use as reference point. Right, so this is a square, like aligned, and then you might want to come in and feed a little more glue in here. I know it moved, so we'll move it back. And then you just press it down and spread the glue. Hopefully it'll adhere it in place, and then we basically wait. Now another alternative adhesive you can use is the UV glue. You know, the same one you would use for Dot Projector, you know, when you're replacing that, right? Because you can just use the UV light to cure it. I wonder if that works here, right? You put a UV light and it'll cure as soon as you hit it with the UV light, versus this one, you kind of just got to use time and air to cure it. So I don't know if this is even working, but just want to give you another idea. All right, so it kind of looks a little solid so far. Let's flip this over and check how the alignment is. One thing I like to use is the bottom of the lens. There's a straight line, so make sure that straight line kind of straight with this, and it does looks decent. Oh, actually, it's still moving around. So make sure the space here on the top and the bottom are good. So let's do this. Let's push it down, and then let's feed it some glue here. And then we wait. Let me know down below in the comments, what do you guys think is the best adhesive for this type of use case or application? Oh, sticky. I wonder if the UV light even helps. That'd be crazy if it does solidify it. Maybe a little bit of air, maybe a little bit of heat. Who knows? Does anyone know how to speed up B7000 curing? Let me know. Like I said, we could also use the UV glue. Basically any kind of glue. So this is the UV glue. So let's pour it on the other side. It looks kind of aligned. So the goal is to just hold this camera lens in the bracket. Let's see. So what I like to do is kind of squeeze some of it out onto my tweezer and then use the tweezer to apply it. That's a lot. Let's do some on the other side. I know it's not pretty, but at this point, it's functional is what matters. No one's gonna open the phone. The only one looking at the phone are gonna be other repair shops, and you know they're gonna talk crap about your work no matter what. So as long as it works, then and you make your customer happy, so that matters for the most part. I mean, obviously, quality work is important, but this UV glue does cure with the UV light. So let me know what you guys think about the UV light. It's pretty cool. It is the Tool UV curing lamp. It's USB-C rechargeable, battery powered, and it runs for like 10 seconds at a time, so you gotta keep restarting it. So in theory that, oh, see that's solid there. All right, so I think this should be good. Now the last thing is, now this is the original camera that failed. And then there's like a crease here on the flex. You gotta copy that on this one. And let's see if we could replicate it. Kind of like a fold. Crap. It's really hard to get in there. Let's do it like this. All right, that looks kind of close. So let's put this in the housing and see how this works. All right, so actually this plug goes in first. Camera goes on top, dot projector, and there you go. So that's the final product, hopefully. Let's plug in the screen. Ear speaker flex, battery, and just for testing purposes, let's snap the screen in so that everything's installed and essentially like the final product. So this is how we want to test it. Make sure the camera is aligned. So I always like to plug in the cable to boot up a phone. And let's see. Let's check it out. All right. So rear camera is working. Moment of truth. Front camera is working. And it is straight. I don't see any anything blurry or smudges. It's a clear image. And let's go to Face ID. Set up Face ID. And look at that. Face ID works. We didn't lose Face ID. And let's make sure Face ID fully works. So let's just set up a pin code. Like that. There you go. Lock it, unlock it, and it worked. So I'm looking away. There's a lock at the top. I look, and unlocks. So yeah, this is fixed. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys need this repair, reach out to me through my websites. You know, we offer mailing service for anyone across the country. If you found this video helpful, let me know down below in the comments what you guys found the most helpful. What improvement would you suggest for this process? If you guys want to support the channel, check out the links down below. I will link to where to buy this camera, where to buy the jig, all my tools and everything are linked down below in the video description. And I look forward to hearing you guys' feedback. If you guys want to see any other videos on how to fix Face ID, I will link those right here. So thanks everyone for watching. Check out the links down below. I'll see you in the next one.